Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content, look no further cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, and pack drops, the show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to ball since the Ball Brothers. So settle in cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Wow. Whoa.
I survived.
All right.
I survived. I'm back and I survived another wilderness adventure.
Why are you sweating? You look like you've been dunked in like a big bucket of water or something. So the reason you're like sweating
I look
like
right
now? Yeah, the hair coming out of the toque, or sorry, the beanie for our American audience, which I still find it weird calling it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, okay, here, there you go.
Looks like you've been dumped in like one of those dunk tanks, man, and you're just like sweating your balls off right now. Where honestly, the hell? No. Yeah, you've been somewhere. I know this for the simple fact that over the weekend I saw our parents, and they asked me if I knew where you were. I'm like, Oh, okay. And I know it's somewhere extreme when they ask me that, because if you're like going to Vancouver or like a regular place like that for the weekend, I don't hear anything. But if you're going somewhere like super like extreme for a period of time, I usually hear from them asking me if I know where you're going and what my thoughts are. And they ask me if I knew, and I'm like, no, I don't really know this time. I think because things have slowed down, it's not like LG has to tell me like, hey, if all hell breaks loose with a pack drop on Sunday, make sure you cover it. You know, like, you know, there is.
I wish, Phil D. Yeah. I wish that was still the case. That'd be great. It'd be great if I had to be on like high alert and bring like a satellite phone with me so I could check in on like what's going on. But it's just not. It's just not that kind of market anymore. Okay, that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, just tell us where you were, man, because I don't even know. Like, I've seen you on some crazy ass trips. I have I know it was in the bush, and I know it involves some crazy stuff again. But why don't you enlighten us here and tell our entire audience what the hell you were up to the last 4 days?
All right. So there's a group of guys that we've been on a couple canoe trips this summer. So this was like the last one. And I'll tell you right now that it was a little too late in the season because the rain season has started. And it wasn't that warm. So let's pull up. I'll just show you. So anybody who's watching, this will be a better illustration. So here we go. Here's a nice map of North America. Okay, we got Canada, US, all the weird provinces in Canada. So focusing in on here's Vancouver, and then here's Vancouver Island, which is a really wonderful place. If anybody ever needs a really great vacation, Vancouver Island is a place to be. Tofino is like the surfing destination of Canada. That's not where I went, but that's where our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau loves to spend our Indigenous holiday. That's where he went on the first Truth and Reconciliation Day. Anyways, on the east side is this place called Campbell River, which is probably the best way to describe it is kind of a bum town, but it's mainly like industry town. Like it's a rough little place. But that's not where I went. I went up to this area northwest of it, which is this string of kind of lakes, and this is called the Seaward Forest. And we basically launched at this lake, Morton Lake, and went up around through these lakes, down through here, all the way to the bottom here through this big Campbell Lake, and then back around. And in between the canoeing, you do something called portaging, which is obviously but where you basically carry the canoe. On the last trip I went on,
you just did this though, isn't that what you just did? Like,
yes, we did a different canoe trip. We went to a different place. Okay. But what was nice actually this time is on the last trip we went on, when you are carrying the canoes, on the last trip we had to use the yoke. Like, you ever been in a canoe and there's like a wooden piece in the middle of the canoe that has like a weird like kind of half circle in it that's cut out? That's called a yoke, which is how you carry the canoe on your shoulders, which is insanely painful because most canoes weigh between 50 and 60 pounds, and you have to carry them for like a mile or two and balance it as well. But in this particular area, there's actually some nice trails. So you're actually able to put the canoe on a cart and wheel it around with all your stuff inside, which is way less exhausting depending on how smooth the trail is, then carrying it on your shoulders. So this is actually a nice one. So we had planned to go 4 of us, right? Just 4 guys, super chill, 2 guys per canoe. Leave on a Thursday morning, come back late Sunday night. We have to take, as you know, in this area, you have to take a boat to get anywhere. You have to take a ferry to get over to Vancouver Island. It's Thursday morning. I have to take a ferry to meet the other guys to then take a different ferry. So I had to take 2 ferries. So I take a ferry at literally 6 a.m. I get up at 5 a.m. to go take a 6 a.m. ferry, drive down on the ferry, and take my hour ferry, and then sit at a Starbucks and wait for the guys. We're supposed to meet at 8. At 7:45, I get a call from the guys, and they tell me that they can't find the 4th guy, Pierre. They're like, we're supposed to meet him. We're supposed to pick up his canoe. He's not here. We don't know where he is. And they're like, we're legit worried that he might be dead somewhere.
What?
Not normal for him to not like pick up his phone or to like completely miss. But we're supposed to go. It's a 4-day trip, right? It's not, you don't just wake up and go on it. You prepare for a couple of days. So immediately as the trip starts, we can't find one of the guys, and we're supposed to be on this 8:45 ferry. It's a 2-hour boat ride. So you miss that, you wait another 3 hours for the next boat. It sucks. Turns out this one guy, Pierre, thought that we were leaving at 8:45 p.m., not a.m. There'd been a miscommunication in the group chat. So we get in touch with him. He says, you guys go ahead, and I will come on tonight's ferry and meet you guys at a further campsite. He's like, I'll go park there. You guys just figure out how you can paddle 2 guys, 3 canoes. Kind of sounds like a dirty joke. It was basically 3 guys, 2 canoes. So we're like, okay, that's fine. We'll start. We'll start the trip without you. We'll go over there, paddle the first day, and then just meet you at the campsite the next day, and then you can join the trip. By the time we got over there, though, Phil, it's like we had to take a later ferry, 2-hour boat ride, 3-hour drive to the spot. We had to rent another canoe because we needed a second one. By the time we actually launched our boats on the first day, and keep in mind, I've been up since 5. It was 7 o'clock. It was 7 p.m. Okay. And if anybody's been canoeing or doing anything like this or any kind of backcountry hiking and stuff, you usually do it during the day. Okay. Not at night. Okay. You don't do it at night. So here, let me just.
Is this all what's his name's fault?
All Pierre's fault. And I will tell you right now that Pierre listens to the show. Like okay. he is a longtime first minute listener. I don't know him because I knew him before. So
is this Pierre's first time on one of these expeditions?
No, he's like a pro. Like this guy, he's one of the most experienced outdoors people I know.
What I'm not understanding in all of this, before you continue, is if this type of expedition is done only during the day, and Pierre is considered a pro, what part of him made him believe that this was actually going down at 8:45 p.m. and not 8:45 a.m.? How did he not question that?
I think he thought, because what you can do too is you can take the late ferry and then just pick it, because everywhere around here, Phil, this is an area where there's campsites everywhere. Like the entire island has just random drive-in campsites for RVs and all this kind of shit. So I think he thought we were going to take the ferry, get there at like 11 o'clock at night, and then just drive into a campsite, sleep there for the night, and then get an early start the next morning. We've done that before, right? So it's like he didn't think that we're going to go canoeing at like midnight. I think he just thought, hey, we're just going to, we'll just get an early start the next day. Okay, so this is the launch point. Okay, wow. This is, and again, sorry for people just listening, but this is
pretty dope. That's pretty nice.
The water was glass. The best part of this whole trip, the part where we suffered the least. Most of these trips, we usually refer to them as sufferfests because we usually bite off way more than we can chew in terms of distance and conditions. And this one was right up there with both of those. Anyways, the start of the trip, this is 7 o'clock at night, the first day. The water is glass. Okay. It's like, which is great for canoeing because you can just rip right through it versus having like a headwind against you. Right. So really, really beautiful. Let's see if I can go through these, first hour, we're just kind of ripping through. There's it's an old logging area. So there's all these like kind of old, huge posts in the water that used to be like a bridge. Really
super quiet there. It looks like it's super quiet.
Insanely quiet. Really like you can't even hear the highway. There's no other cars. There's no other people.
Do you guys ever scream really loud to see if somebody will like reply? I feel like I would. I swear, I feel like I would do that every like 5 minutes.
Well, there's a good story about that coming up in a few minutes. Okay. But basically, it's also you're on the water, so sound travels really well. So you can just talk at normal voice, and people 100 feet away from you can hear you really easily. Yeah. Sound travels on water.
And just for those who are not watching the podcast and listening, this is all these Bigfoot sightings that you've seen over the years, like online. Whatever setting you imagine in your head or you've seen in those videos, even if they're fake, this is exactly what LG is showing right now. This is the type where the Bigfoot is standing on the side of the water, like waving at you as you go by. And you're like, oh shit, come here. I got to get a picture. And he's gone. Okay.
You're not wrong. And honestly, the thing is that despite having been in the forest and spent hundreds, thousands of nights under the stars, I'm going to tell you right now that I never think about Bigfoot or bears or any of that kind of stuff. Because honestly, most people are like, what about the bears? The bears are fucking scared of you. Honestly, the bears, you're talking, bears can hear you. They run away. But there's only one time on these trips where I am scared out of my mind. And it was the middle of the night and I have to pee. That's the only time. Like any other time, anything we're doing, or because animals come out early morning, late, like and at dusk, right? Dawn and dusk. That's when animals kind of graze around. So middle of the night, there's nothing's walking around. But anytime I'm like in the middle of the night, especially on this trip, we drank a lot of beer, so you have to pee naturally at like 3 a.m. That's getting out of the tent is like the scariest thing possible. I don't know why it's scarier outside your tent than inside the tent. It just is, right? So,
well,
anyway,
but because inside the tent, your odds of getting killed are like 1 in 4.
I don't know why. It just feels that way.
It's just you, right?
There's something about getting out of the tent into the darkness of the forest that's like really scary, even though your tent is in the darkness of the forest.
I agree, and we don't even have bears here. When I go camping, I hate it, man. I'm always
there's something weird.
Me when I'm taking
like there's gonna be some weirdo in the bushes like staring at you or something like that in the middle of the night. that's always the concern. Okay, so anyway, so first day. This is the first couple hours. I don't know. You can see it's like 7 p.m. We start going. You can't see this photo. Maybe on the right here, you can see there's a beaver. We saw a beaver like crossing the water with a log in his mouth. So that's really cool. Okay. So this is the start of the trip. We do about like 3-4 miles, keep it American distances, which only takes us about an hour. So we stop at 8 o'clock and we have like a campsite in mind that we want to get to, but we're still very far away from it. Still a lot of other lakes and portages between us and there. We load up our boats on the shore, right? On the carts, right? Which I'll show you. Is this a photo of it? No, hold on. I don't know if I have a photo with the carts. This is what the carts look like. Okay, so when you hold up,
I just saw that picture. Do you sleep in hammocks or you sleep?
We're gonna get to that in a second. So this is what the carts look like. So when you get off the water and you have to move your canoe, instead of carrying it on your shoulders, you strap it to a cart and you put your stuff in the cart and you wheel it around.
This is evolution from the last trip you were on.
Yeah, this is much better. I've done trips, I've done both types of trips, but this is much better. Right, and this is just what normal canoeing looks like. I was on the front of our canoe, so this is me, just normal. You're just kind of ripping around. It's very nice. This is what our canoeing looks like. It's very nice, right? Anyways, end of the first day, or not even end of the first day. It's 8 o'clock. We've been on the trip for an hour, and we're like, let's start portaging, and then we 5 minutes into walking into the forest, it's pitch black. We get our headlamps out, and for the next 3 hours, we went in and out of the water probably 12 different times because the next 5 miles of the trip were just swamps. Shit like this. Just shit like, hold on, this is a video. Maybe you can't see it. But just basically where the you're in the water where it's like less than a foot deep, so you can kind of paddle your canoe through it. But sometimes you have to be careful because you don't want to hit a rock and capsize and fall over. And you basically have to like anytime you step out of the water, it's like knee deep mud. There's a point where I literally went up to my waist in mud. Like I literally took one step and the mud sank right in. Like it was like almost quicksand.
Was it like in the Never-Ending Story? In the Never-Ending Story when Atreyu is stuck in the mud?
It's exactly like that. It's exactly
the horse.
That goes through your mind. It's the only thing that goes through your mind. What we had to do at one point, and this is like, look, this photo's at 10 o'clock at night, and it's freaking cold. We got to this one marshy area where there was a series of beaver dams that, and not a big like log thing, a huge like mud like bar that is maybe a foot above the water. So we'd get to these, have to get up onto it out of the canoe, lift the canoe over it and drag it over, and then get back in the canoe on the other side. And we did this like 4 or 5 times.
Ugh.
11. It's 11 o'clock. We get to the first campsite, which is still hours away from the campsite.
Wait, how the hell do you know where you're going? Honestly, like, are you just going in the bush in any direction?
Where I am, but it's pitch black. Like you can't see anything when you're on the water.
But you guys have like an idea of the path you're taking to get what you want to get, or
100%. And I'm good at directions in the wilderness. Like
you can't use your phone, right? Like I assume there's no reception out there.
Photos of the map on our phones, right? But no, actually, your phone has GPS. Your phone has GPS.
Right.
Even without internet connection, it still has GPS. It still has a satellite ping, so you still kind of tell where you are. So that helps a lot. We get to the first campsite, and there's a few people kind of just sitting around, and they're about to go to bed, kind of thing. It's like an RV camping, so there's people there set up for like a week. And we roll up, these 3 dudes in the middle of the night, super freaking loud, to this campsite, 11 o'clock at night, pull our boats out of the water and like crack a beer. And we're like, just like so loud. And we're like,
serial killers.
And we're like, we should probably camp here. We've been canoeing in the dark for 4 hours and in the mud. This is kind of a dangerous thing to be doing. Then we look at each other and we're like, well, the campsite where we're meeting the guy who was late, it's probably only about another 2 hours away. We're like, let's keep going. So then we do another long, like half-mile portage, and then get into a lake and do another 4 or 5 miles of canoeing in a giant lake called Amber Lake. Where you like literally the water is just black, and it was like
at night. You guys are canoeing at night,
and it was like a beautiful planetarium of stars. Like it's really beautiful, but at the same time, the danger is that it's like if you fall into the water, which is always a risk when you're canoeing. Like you won't really be able to get your stuff. Like if you fall in the water and you're canoeing in like a calm lake, it's like, it's okay. You swim back to your canoe, flip it back over, swim around, find your bags. All our stuff are in dry bags, so if they go in the water and they don't get wet, find your dry bag, put them back in the canoe. And then there's maneuvers you can do where one person get back in the canoe easily. But in the dark, it's going to be impossible. So we're canoeing in this lake in the middle of the night. And then somehow we had to like do a right turn and a left turn and a right turn, like through this huge lake. We find the campsite where our friend is sleeping.
My God.
And he's not there. He's not there. Like the whole time we were motivated, like we're going to wake him up and like give him.
Oh, you mean you thought he was sleeping?
We thought he was going to be there. He was supposed to be there. We get there. He's not there.
Okay. So nothing's there. Like not his shit, like not his gear, nothing. He's just not there.
He's just not there. We pull up.
Pierre's nowhere to be seen.
Pierre's nowhere to be seen. We pulled up in our canoes at that campsite at
Pierre,
1 a.m. We got there at 1 a.m. And we start looking around the campsite. There's only a couple cars there and a couple tents, and clearly none of them are his. And then I look over at this pickup truck that's parked at a campsite. And this is one of the scariest moments of my life. Something comes out of the bed of the truck. Like a white thing, and it kind of like looks up at us, like like the zombies in 28 Days Later, where they like peer over something and then they're like run at you, and it's all white, like some kind of goblin ghoul, and it looks right at us, and we're like flashing our flashlights, like our headlamps on it.
It's definitely
usually at first I thought it was a dog, but if that was a dog, the dog would bark naturally. When a dog looks at you like that, like it's gonna bark.
Yeah,
it doesn't bark, and it turns out some old guy who's sleeping.
I thought you were going to say it's Pierre.
No, it wasn't Pierre.
Shit. Okay, so
anyway,
some old random dude by himself is in the middle of nowhere camping there. Is that what you're saying?
He was hunting. So there's a really big hunting area. So he was
What do you hunt?
Deer.
Oh, deer. Okay.
Deer.
Our good buddy Garland is going to lose his shit if he hears this. I don't know if he's listening this week, but if he hears anything about hunting, he will lose his shit. That's pretty cool. Hold on. But before you continue past these swamps you just showed us.
Yeah.
Like, I know that people associate things like gators and stuff with swamps. We don't have that in Canada.
Yeah.
So that's why. If you're wondering how the hell or why the hell LG would be crawling through swamps at night, you can do that in Canada and in most parts of the world. You just can't do that in Florida. So this is
Florida. Yeah,
you'd be long gone even in your canoe in Florida. So
yeah. There's no doing that. You don't do that in Florida. Here you can. There's nothing in this case. There's nothing in the water that's particularly dangerous. Other like in the swamps, maybe there's like leeches. But that's not really like
bloodsuckers. The ones
but that's not a mortal danger.
They used to tell you to light them on fire to get them off of you. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not a mortal danger. You know what I mean? That's not really like a problem. So
okay.
Yeah. So anyways, so that is like that's the first night. We went to bed at 3 a.m. by the time we finally like set up camp and ate. We went to bed at 3 in the morning. Okay.
Wow.
Wake up the next day. This is my setup. I sleep. So when I camp, very few people do this. I actually sleep in a camping hammock, in like a camp hammock. So it's a Hennessy hammock, and you hang it between 2 trees, and it's got like, you kind of enter through the bottom, and it also has a fly that you can set up so you can protect yourself from the rain. So I can kind of, it's a little easier because a tent, you have to be on flat ground, right, to set up. Whereas like a hammock, I can set it up basically anywhere in the forest. So this is really nice. And these are our canoes in the background here.
I cannot believe you sleep in a hammock, dude. Like I honestly
sleep in a
can't
hammock.
get over that. That is insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else on the trip was doing that. I'm the only one who does that.
And the others are intense.
They're intense. Yeah.
And does the hammock like fully close like a pouch, like where you can zip it like a body bag?
Yeah. So you actually don't even, there's no zipper.
Okay.
It's actually a Velcro on the bottom underneath the hammock. So you kind of birth yourself when you get out of it.
So LG's talking about being scared for his life when he takes a piss outside the tent. Yeah, he's sleeping outside in an actual hammock.
Yeah.
Where like the first thing a bear would do if he came is just bite you in half, basically.
Yeah, he'd bite my ass, basically.
Okay.
You'd be able to see me. Like we'd be able to make eye contact if the bear came along.
Why? Isn't it zipped?
Yeah, but there's like, you see, the top is a mesh.
Okay.
Top is a mesh, so I can see outside of it. I'm not like it's not a body bag. Like it's
like you spend all night with one eye open. Like what is that? Why the hell would you
wear an eye mask? I just pass out. Yeah.
Oh Christ! Do you spray yourself with like anti-bear spray or what?
No. You can bring bear spray, but if you sprayed yourself with that, it's like bear spray is basically mace times 5. It's like it's like designed. Like if you spray a bear with bear spray, it might work, but it's also going to destroy you. Like it's going to mess you up. It's basically the same.
This is crazy, man. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but there's no, but on Vancouver Island, there's no grizzly bears. There's only black bears, so it's a little less. It's still dangerous, but not.
And just to confirm, your phone again doesn't work at this point, right? Like there's no service, no reception.
There's no service. Yeah, you'd have to go far to call 911 if you needed.
This is where LG and I are complete opposites. If you tell me even one night I'm going somewhere without service, it's not happening. Doesn't matter if it's in the city, in the bush, anywhere. All right, it's not happening. Let alone 4 or 5 nights or whatever the hell you just did. All right. I have a feeling there's more coming in this story.
Okay, so we wake up the next morning and Pierre is there, and turns out that he camps like a mile down the road, and he showed up at this campsite that morning, not knowing we were there because we were supposed to be camping like way, way far away. It was our choice to kind of go there in the middle of the night, and he sets up his little drone to go and find us, and then the old man who was in the pickup truck is there and starts talking to him and is like, "Hey, these guys these guys rolled up at 1 a.m. in their canoes like total savages." And he looks over and he's like, "Oh, one of those is my canoe." And then he realizes that it's us in the tent. So then finally we're back together, the 4 of us. And this is the Friday. This is what portaging kind of looks like, is carrying a canoe over top of your head.
Okay. Is that Pierre?
That is Pierre.
Okay.
And this
Pierre is exactly how I pictured he was. Yes. Yeah. That is a true.
Well, he's in the canoe. He's under the canoe. That's Pierre.
Oh, that's Pierre. I thought the other
Pierre.
guy was
that's the other guy.
Okay.
That's Sam.
I thought that was you. All right.
No, that's not me.
Yeah. Pierre carrying a canoe the way he is, that's a Pierre for sure.
Yeah, all right. Exactly. And then this is like also like basically we weren't done with the mud. There was a lot of areas that were like the thing is that when you're doing anything that's on rivers or lakes, in the spring there's a lot of water, and in the fall there's almost no water, right? Because in the spring a lot of the water is melting from the snow in the mountains, and that's why like rivers rage in the spring and they're like down to a trickle in the fall because it's so hot that it dries it up. So a lot of these areas that were supposed to be like rapids or whatever were literally just mud or narrow little passages like this. Anyways, we had a good time. This is some other photos from the trip. There's Pierre. There we
go, Pierre.
And this is us walking through the mud. Like basically you'd have to walk your like knee deep water mud, walk your canoe through that, and then get back in the canoe for like 10 feet and then get back out and like sling through the mud, basically.
Pierre looks like the happiest person on earth to be doing that. He must really, really love doing this stuff.
He does.
Yeah. I'd be miserable. I really would. I don't know how you do it, man. The minute I have to put my feet in that water and be stuck with that kind of like.
That water's cold, man. That water is cold.
What the hell, man?
That is not hot water.
I hated everything like this for a long time until the pandemic, where I was forced to actually go and explore like, provincial parks and national parks and all that. And then I fell in love with hiking and seeing things and exercising that way. But this is a whole different animal, man. This is not like crawling through water and shit like that. Like I'll do that in a Titan race, but I'm not going to do that for fun.
You build up to it. You know what I mean? This isn't my first rodeo. I didn't start doing trips like this. This comes after a long time. And I'll be honest with you, it actually comes down to doing it with the right people, because we've been on other trips where it's like, you know, when you're canoeing all day and you're walking through the mud and it's cold, some people get really complaining and they're like, "Can we stop to eat?" And it's like, we're in a good group this weekend. We're in a group where everybody's like aligned. You know what I mean? Everybody is like, we were in a good flow. Like we had a lot of snacks. Everybody felt good. But yeah, there's some of the scenery. A lot of these lakes are actually old forests that have been filled in over time. So they have a lot of like trees sticking out of them and stuff, which is dangerous on your canoe. But, just pay attention and kind of easy to navigate. Yeah, here's some portaging. Again, this is my setup 2 nights ago. Not last night, but 2 nights ago.
You are a savage for sleeping in that actual hammock. Like I can't even get over that. I wouldn't sleep in a hammock anywhere.
So this green part is full, and you can see in the bottom there's like a little black part. That's where it's a Velcro opening, and that's how you get in the hammock. And then the top part is a black mesh, and then the red part is my sleeping pad. So I sleep on that in it.
How do you sleep in that, man? Like,
so I put on I sleep in a sleeping bag that zips up pretty much all the way to my face. So I have like a little opening, and then I lay down on the sleeping pad inside the hammock for something kind of soft.
And what's the reason you don't like tents? You don't want to sleep in a tent for what?
I can set this up anywhere.
Right.
Like look at this photo. You can't set up a tent there because you'd be on like an angle. Right. So this makes it easier. Like because even the last campsite we got to, there's only space for basically one tent. So then one guy slept in his like bivy, which is kind of like a super, super powerful, super strong sleeping bag. And the other guys used the tent spot. And then I just went 30 feet over into the forest. Also, the other thing, Phil, is that sometimes on these trips, you're on the trip with a person who snores. And I can't stand that. So a hammock allows me to just walk right into the forest far away from the group and sleep wherever I want, rather than having to be near everybody and having to use a fucking chainsaw all night.
I deal with snorers pretty well. I'll tell you that. It's an easy way to get them to stop. No, not as in I deal with it like that. I actually deal with it. No. Like, honestly, people hear you in their sleep. And if someone's snoring, I'll usually be like, "Hey," right? And then they're like, what? And they wake up like, "What the hell?" And then it stops for an hour. And you just do that every hour. And then they eventually
not that easy.
Stop. You just scare the shit out of them a bit.
Anyways, the next couple of days were pretty smooth. Just some rain, some mud. But we dealt with it pretty well. Here's me. There's me from the back, at least. At the front of the canoe there.
And LG is doing all of this while missing NFL football. Put that in your minds, people. Okay, it takes a special kind of portager to do that. If you're missing NFL football, like from Thursday to Sunday, that's another thing I couldn't do. Yeah. Oh wow, what the hell? The canoe's literally on the ground there. What is that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like a little stream. There's no way you guys were moving in that last creek.
That's what I'm saying, is that like there's a part of it on like the third day. So the first night we were doing like just kind of hopping over these muddy bridges made by beavers. And then the third day, and this is in the rain. It was like pouring rain. We had to go through these little canals that are typically like a free flowing river, but instead we're just like not moving water, where it's like the sides, that's not dirt. That's all slippery mud, where you pretty much have to like either slip around in the mud and drag your canoe through. Because the thing is, when you get in the canoe, right, like say you're two guys, you both weigh like 180 or 200, you're putting 400 pounds in the canoe. So it's like when you both get out of the canoe gets way more buoyant, like it's way higher. So you can kind of drag it along through things. So what we have to do is basically get in the canoe, paddle a few times, then we get to another like mud bar, get out of the canoe, drag the canoe over, get back in, keep going. So we have to do that for a couple hours.
This picture, you are definitely beached. There's no chance that thing's
floating. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't be taking the photo if we weren't stopped. Yeah, but then you get back out into the lake and it looks like this, and you can see me having a good time there. And we're having tons of fun and going.
If mom's watching, no life jacket, mom. Look at him. He had it on in the other picture, but look, he's taking a risk here. No life jacket.
At least I'm wearing it in some photos. At least I have it on occasionally.
Yeah, just because you're like, oh shit, wait, before you take this pic, guys, let's all put our life jackets on, because my mom is going to see these for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Hide all the liquor and cigarettes and put your life jacket on. That's what you do.
That is wild. Anything? Okay. Is there a conclusion to the story? Like, did you guys get attacked by a bear or anything?
No, it was pretty smooth. That once we had Pierre with us, everything went pretty well. He actually did some really cool stuff where he went ahead to places he knew we'd be walking through, and he hid like a 6-pack of beer further ahead. Because naturally, listen, when you go on these trips, you go to the liquor store on the way there, and you're just like, all right, how many beers do we need? How many beers are we actually going to drink? and you buy a ton, and then usually halfway through the second day, you're like, we're actually out of beer already. You know what I mean? Because then you just pound them. So he actually hid some beers ahead for us, which was really, really nice of him.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I do know that in the secret First Mint Fantasy Football League, there was a huge moment of panic at some point yesterday afternoon when it was brought to the league's attention that LG had completely given up on the season, week 3 of the year, and had not set his lineups. Okay. In a lot of leagues, especially the high stakes ones, you can give up all you want, but there's 2 things you don't do. You don't forget to set your lineups and leave like injured guys in the lineup. And you don't make trades that are making it obvious that you're just kind of tanking the rest of the year and trying to help your friends or something. Okay. So LG was called out kind of indirectly, just like, haha, LG is not trying anymore.
What did I not have set? I didn't have a defense, I think.
You didn't have a defense or a kicker. Okay.
Or a kicker.
and interestingly enough, it's your opponent that called you out. So I think they kind of knew they were going to beat you, and they're just like, yeah, hey, look, he's not even setting his lineups, which is fine. But what this person didn't realize is that the night games or the primetime games had not started yet. And LG basically climbed to the top of the Jumbotron in the arena and came in with a flying elbow of, look at me, I just set my kicker and my defense. So shut up. Okay.
Well, what's funny is I picked up Jacksonville as my because they were playing like Houston, I think. I was picked up Jacksonville as my defense, but that I didn't set them, and they went like their score was like.
That's right. That's right. That was a blessing in disguise.
I was like, oh, okay, this is good.
That was pretty funny. The way you came out of nowhere, though, it made me laugh because I called you to the principal's office, said, hey, all right, we got to talk.
And that was right. And honestly, it might not seem true, but that is right when I got reception again. Like just around 4:00 Eastern is when we finally got back. Because basically what you do is we got all the way around back to the car, right? The last night we slept on a little island in the middle of this huge lake. Then we get back to the car. You unload all your stuff into the car, and then you strap the canoes on top of the ride, and then you kind of head out. So that was around the time that I finally got back to civilization.
And it didn't matter in the end, though. You're not going to win your matchup this week. Your team is still somewhat
0-3
in that league. Okay, which I won last year and kind of dominated all year.
Yeah,
I was faced with an early challenge of losing J.K. Dobbins week 1. Okay, which is fine. I mean, my running backs weren't that strong to begin with. Actually, they were. Tony Pollard and J.K. Dobbins was like a great combo for the simple fact that I also managed to get Tyreek Hill and Josh Allen and still ended up with those 2 guys. But J.K. Dobbins went down early. I was able to replace him with Zach Moss, which is a fantastic replacement, putting up more points than J.K. was putting up every week. But now I've lost Mike Williams for the year.
I can't.
Mike Williams,
number 2.
What are the odds that I have those 2 guys? But
I was thinking about you last night.
You can't say that though, because the amount of injuries that there have been this year, and I feel like everyone says this every year, are so crazy. And it seems to always be the same guys, man. Like I feel like I should have known this. Mike Williams feels like he has these monster weeks to open the season, and then he's always out for the year, or he's out for like half the year, or whatever it is. But making it worse though is that 2 weeks in a row. And I don't mind losing. When I lose, I'm good with it in fantasy. But what I cannot stand is getting sniped in a primetime game. When you were projected to win by like 40, and then somehow, this happens to me all the time, the other guy has like the double dip of the night. And I'm talking Jimmy G. Actually, he didn't have Jimmy G. But anyways, bottom line is I was playing Devontae Adams last night. I was up at like 40 points, predicted to win by quite a few. And I put up the second highest score in the entire league. And I'm going to lose. Because Mr. X, who you all know from the All Night Show, he had Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers, fucking guy, puts up like 24 points. On top of Devontae Adams is like, hold on, I need to ask I want to talk to the Steelers coaching staff. What's the deal exactly? Is that the strategy when you play those guys? Just leave him open the entire game and hope for the best? It seems kind of weird, man. The guy was open on every single play.
I didn't see
and this is coming off the heels of last week, where I also put up one of the top 3 scores in the league and ended up losing because last week, who the hell screwed me last week? It was someone, I forgot who it was last week, but it's someone at the last second.
It was another Patriot.
Another random, no, it wasn't a Patriot. Yes, it was. It was Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. I was gonna say Boston Scott, but yeah.
Freaking Kendrick Bourne has 3 points going into like the fourth quarter in that game, and he cannot get like over 10 points or whatever it is. And on the last drive of the game, he's still at 3 points, and he ends with like 12 points, whatever the hell it was, and I lose by 1. Kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. So, but that's fantasy football. I guarantee you I have the highest scoring team in the league after 3 weeks, but I'm 1-2 now. And, it's losses like that can really mess up the balance of the playoffs, because an unlucky team like mine that is still very good will sneak into the playoffs and still make the playoffs, but in the middle of the pack. And that'll screw somebody over if my team continues to be strong. But I look at the rest of the league and I see that I score 149 points yesterday or this weekend, and I see other people scoring 70. And I'm like, how did I face the guy that scored 156 and still has the Eagles defense to go to? Like, why? If I faced anyone else, it would have been a guaranteed win. So frustrating couple weeks for me. But hey, long season, right? I mean, it's a long way to go. A lot of shit happens. Injuries are a big pain in the butt. And it looks like I might have to trade Josh Allen. It's the only one when I'd be able to replenish at other positions. I'll have to figure something out there. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Injuries are a big part of fantasy football and can end your season pretty quick.
I have no doubt that you'll crush us in the playoffs again. I didn't even make it to the playoffs last year, so I don't even know what I'm talking about.
There are some good teams this year, man. It's going to be tough. And there's too much to play out, LG. There's like 12 weeks left in the regular season for fantasy, right?
That your injury karma is going to balance out, though, in some way.
Well, it already did with Zach Moss, right?
So. You got the Dobbins injury, the Williams injury, and now you're going to have 2 weeks in a row where you get sniped by like 1 or 2 plays. That's going to come back around for you.
We should hope so. Yeah. But hey, pretty competitive so far. And, your team's been doing better this year, LG. It's been doing better than last year's team. I think so. If you look at your points after 3 weeks last year, you're definitely above your average from last year.
Yeah, but there's no excuse. I don't want any excuses like that. Last year, my first round pick was Dalvin Cook, which I should have known better. I hadn't watched the NFL in 10 years. Now, a little bit more about what's up. And my first round pick, even though I was picking 12th, I had to make the decision between anybody that wasn't in the top 10, basically. And instead of going with somebody like Tony Pollard, I went with AJ Brown, who maybe tonight, who knows?
I think so.
Maybe. I could maybe still win this week, but I'm kind of getting destroyed. He has not last week. I think he was targeted like 6 times. He was only targeted 6 times, 4 receptions. And
but he was pissed. And when a superstar player is pissed and their young quarterback knows about it, I still call Jalen Hurts young. They usually find a way to get him the ball the next time to keep everybody happy. Look at Stephon Diggs yesterday. He had a ton of catches, man. He was top dog and he was happy with it. I think he had 10 receptions or something like that.
Just and a little 12 catch, 2 touchdown.
It'll be listen, the thing with AJ Brown is it'll always be either the AJ Brown show or the Devontae Smith show.
Yeah.
And it'll alternate. You just hope that it goes 50-50 throughout the year, where half the weeks of the fantasy season you get 20 points out of the guy.
Yeah.
And then you should be okay. So we'll see what happens tonight. I do like him in tonight's game. So we'll see. Do you actually still have a chance to win if he goes nuts?
I think I'm playing Garland this week. And
that's not Garland. We all think that's Garland.
Chester?
That's Chester. Yes.
Oh, it's Chester. Okay. So not really. Like, here, let's pull it up. Actually, no.
Chester, by the way, is the one that sniped me last week with his Kendrick Bourne.
The thing is that I would have had a pretty good freaking chance if Chester didn't have Mostert.
That's ridiculous.
Like
that is ridiculous.
Freaking touchdowns, and he had Tua. So it's like he's got, and Tua didn't have that big of a day on the fantasy stat sheet, considering they scored 70 points. But yeah, that's what I'm up against. So if Mostert scored a normal stat line for a running back, let's say 15 points, I'd be right there in the running.
That's not a normal line.
I'm probably going to lose about 25 points.
I saw the Dolphins up yesterday by like 50 points. And then another notification came in. It was like Tua, 65-yard pass to Mostert. I'm like, hold on a second. They're up by 50-something, and Tua's still throwing bombs to the running backs? What? What's going on over there? And then after all that stats padding that they did, against like the 5th string guys on Denver, they have a chance at the NFL record for points in a game by kicking that field goal there.
Yeah.
And they don't do it.
Yeah.
And Mike McDaniel's like, I'm so okay with not doing that. Did you hear what he said after? He's like, NFL records mean nothing or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Hold on a second, man. You were throwing bombs up by 60.
Yeah.
And you don't care about the NFL record. Why didn't you just do it, man? I think he felt like if they do that, they probably won't score a single point next week against the Bills. You know, like in one of those like classic letdown situations.
Classic, that they,
But that's shaping up to be a really, really good game. I mean, the Bills starting to look a bit better now. The Dolphins, divisional rivals. Now, I love the NFL for the simple fact that let's recap real quick how things have gone. Okay. 3 weeks ago to the day, right now, the New York Jets were like the Vegas favorites to win the Super Bowl. And they were rated the number one offense, the number one defense, the number one coaching, the number one special teams, the number one everything. Odds on favorite to win the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers goes down, and Aaron Rodgers is not what he used to be, okay, at all.
On the third play, fourth play.
The Jets look awful 3 weeks in a row with a disastrous backup quarterback, former number one pick.
Although they won that first game.
Okay, I know. And I'm never going to hear the end of it because they won against the Bills. Yeah. But the NFL we've always talked about the script, and I truly believe that first game was scripted, so the Jets win on 9/11 at home. I said this on this show, okay? And no matter who the quarterback was, they had to make it happen. So that's a write-off. But the Jets are now being called the worst team in like history of the NFL on offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. This is what's hilarious. 3 weeks later, when one guy goes down, all of a sudden, the rest of the team sucks.
Minus one guy.
Okay. Dallas Cowboys, 2 weeks into the season, are called the greatest addition of the Dallas Cowboys we have ever seen. Okay. The new heavy favorite to win the Super Bowl. And what did they do yesterday? They go out and lose to a team that is purposely trying to tank for the number one pick next year, Caleb Williams. Okay. They are purposely trying to tank. And they beat the Dallas Cowboys at home when the entire place was full of Cowboys fans. So it's virtually a Cowboys home game. And now this morning, if you listen to First Take and all those shows, this is one of the worst Cowboys teams put together in the last 10. I'm not even joking. Like, it's insane how the NFL works, right? Like, you're only as good as your last game, to be honest, right? So, because remember the Bills, right?
Who's the best team after week 3? Ignoring tonight's games, which are pretty.
Everyone. Well, back to my point before I tell you that is that everyone now, having seen the Dolphins, I heard it. A million people messaged me yesterday. Saying that's a Super Bowl team. That team is winning the Super Bowl. And I'm just like, okay. So in a couple of weeks or even next week when they face the Bills and they struggle to score, I'm pretty sure that whole narrative is going to change. I have to say right now, probably the best. The Niners, I wasn't that impressed with against the Giants, even though they blew them out. I just didn't. Some things looked off with that team. Brock Purdy's the real deal, though. Like, that guy's really composed. And for all the hype around these top, pick QBs, it's insane to me that the last pick overall in that draft is like maybe the best quarterback of that whole class. Like, there's just no way. And it's the same with the Tom Brady.
That's why it's a Tom Brady style situation.
It's insane, man, because you never know with quarterbacks if they're going to have it in the NFL. Like, now we've seen CJ Stroud and we've seen Bryce Young. Bryce Young looks completely lost. CJ Stroud every week now is looking every more like the number one pick that he should have been. And I think it was somebody in the Houston organization, or it's one of the players. He said, thank God we won that last game last year. Because you remember they won the last game of the year and it denied them the number one pick and everyone was freaking the hell out. He's like, thank God we won that game because it led us to CJ Stroud and not Bryce Young. Because we got the 2 pick and that's where he fell. So Niners look really, really good. Cowboys would have been up there for me too if they looked half decent yesterday. They did not. They looked terrible. But psychologically, they lost Trayvon Diggs on defense. One of the easily a top 5 defender in this league for what he's done the last 2 seasons. That can really psychologically mess you up as a team. I know it has nothing to do with the offense. It just does. It does. I think that's a big issue there. Obviously, for me, in my mind, the Chiefs, it'll never matter who you put on the field for the Chiefs. They'll look like shit sometimes, but they always put it together. Now the whole what's her name? Taylor Swift thing, man. Like, man, are we really going through this? Do you know how it all broke? on Red Zone yesterday, the guy on Red Zone's like, all right, we're about to go to the Chiefs game here. And we're all like thinking, oh shit, Red Zone touchdown, right? He's like, but before I show you what I'm about to show you, there is a very, very special guest at this game. And when I show you this, I can guarantee you the internet will break. I'm like, is it Trump or something? Like, who the hell's at this game? Right? because it's not public. It's been rumored that they've been dating, but they've
it's been rumored,
ever, right?
Mhm.
And this freaking guy on Red Zone breaks to like the suite and shows Taylor. I'm like, is this for real right now? Like she's actually at the game cheering like they've been together for like 20 years, like going berserk.
With his mom, with Mama Kelce.
But did you see her? Okay, there's a huge rumor that to get her from that suite down to the players area after the game, she was carried in a popcorn machine. Did you see that? You have to see the video.
You ever seen the clips of how they sneak her into the stage?
No. Oh, is it similar to that? Like it's something like that?
So what they do, apparently at her concerts, I saw a clip of this, is that since her concerts, like when it's in a stadium, like the stage is like in the middle of the field in a way. It's like at one end of the field where the uprights would be, let's say. So
like Super Bowl style.
There's no tunnel to the stage, basically, right? It's like so they have to wheel in all the equipment from backstage, and they actually sell tickets from like behind the stage because they know that people will buy them. They can't really see what's going on.
Right.
So Taylor Swift has this like janitor's box. It's a huge black box on a cart that has all these brooms and mops and shit sticking out from it. And it's like it's Taylor Swift 6 feet tall. It's a 6 foot tall box. And then people, every time it gets wheeled out, like maybe 30 minutes before the show starts, there's all these videos of it because all the Swifties are just like freaking out. They're like, that's her in the box.
I don't know how you knew this. I did not know this. So this popcorn machine yesterday, you need to pull it up. It's on the Barstool Twitter page. Okay. You have to see this. Everyone's taking like videos and pictures of it. It's a huge popcorn like cabinet being pushed, and they put a massive.
I think this is the same thing as the.
They put a massive bag of popcorn on top of it just to show that it's like a popcorn machine, and she is definitely in there. Like I believe it because I mean, why would they be filming? They know what's up. You're right. The Swifties know what's up. I had no clue, but there are no videos of her leaving the suite, and she somehow got down to that players area undetected. So this thing has gone viral today. Showing her, or you could actually just if you search Swift.
I got it.
This is incredible, actually. Like she's probably not even in there. Yeah. This is amazing. Blow this thing up.
Yeah, hold on.
There it is. There's like all these theories that she's in there. Look, because it's like there's random people following it too. Like,
why is the popcorn on top?
Look, like there's a group of like 3 or 4 people following. They're all looking. Look. She's like,
they all
she's
know
in
for
there.
sure.
Well, no, these people don't, but this one is like, yeah, she's in there for sure. Look at this thing. It's amazing. Can you imagine she's in there, the thing topples over and she rolls out. Watch. Did she go by? Here she comes. Look at it. She's definitely in there. Look at that. And they're like, let's put a huge bag on top just to make it look like it's an actual popcorn thing. That thing's heavy, man.
Flies, yeah.
Maybe Mama Kelce's in there too. Like, what's going on, man? That's insane. So now at every single home game, any moving object's going to be like rushed by the fans because the Swifties are now going to take over Chiefs home games, right? They're all going to go there. These people are obsessed. Yeah. Have you seen her concerts outside of the actual venue? The outside has more people than inside.
Here we go. Actually, hold on. Wait. Right below that, there's a comment showing exactly what I was talking about.
Okay. I didn't know this. I didn't know this until you brought it up.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here it is.
100%, man. Why would 10 people be following that thing? Yeah,
it looks like a magician's box. Like she's getting
those are bodyguards. Look at that, man.
Yeah, all the bodyguards. Yeah, why do you need all bodyguards for a freaking mop box?
This is amazing. If she starts hiding in all sorts of random weird boxes everywhere, that's pretty cool. But they're 100% made for each other. I don't think I can handle too many like references to her songs like we've been seeing on sports TV all day today. Every single highlight clips of that game has references to her songs. Every headline has references to her songs. This is going to be a real circus, man.
I know that you feel that way, but I actually went ahead before the show and asked ChatGPT to make us some song titles. So I already went ahead and I asked. Actually, hold on, wait. Let me just change the screen.
This is insane. Man.
It'll be a little clearer. Hold on. Man, so I went ahead and I asked ChatGPT. I was like, "Can you?" I asked it here. I'll show you actually my whole journey. Here we go. I asked it, who is Travis Kelce? Right? Because I was like, I need to know that ChatGPT knows what I'm talking about. So I was like, who's Taylor Swift? And then I just asked, I was like, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce are now dating. And it was like, I don't know that. Like ChatGPT, like very, very sus. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Because it's not official yet. Yeah.
And I told ChatGPT, I was like, they are dating. Can you come up with some nicknames for them as a couple?
Oh, you can
And
actually,
the nickname,
you can actually do that. That's crazy.
Yes, the nick, and this is like instant when you do this. The nickname ideas are Tay Trav, Swelcy.
I like Swelcy.
Kelsey Swift, T Kels, Kelfte, Swift Chiefs, Taylor, and the tight end.
Oh, that's a goal. That
and again, I didn't tell
ChatGPT
ChatGPT to write that. It just came up with that on its own.
And they have to explain. Hold on, you didn't read that part. They actually have to explain before someone really gets mad at that.
Yes.
That the reason they called it Taylor and the tight end, which is by far my favorite one. I love that. But that's an after hours name. It says playing on Travis Kelce's position as tight end in football.
Yes.
They have to make sure to elaborate on that, and they're not referencing something else. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And ChatGPT is very kind. It's like, remember,
did you write more? Is that you that wrote more?
Oh, yeah. Hold on, we'll get to that. But ChatGPT tells you, it's like, remember that these are just playful suggestions, and the couple may already have a nickname or prefer not to use one. It doesn't want, And then I wrote more, and it said, certainly, here's more. So, kicking it with Kelce and Swift, touchdown love, Swift catch, end zone hearts, star-crossed Chiefs, Kelce's melody, Swifty tight bond.
Oh, yeah.
Song of the gridiron, Kelce's love story.
Yeah, but this is right along the lines of what I've been seeing all day. All the sports stations are doing this, man. They're all doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's
it's not done. It's not done, Phil. I'm not done.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, let's imagine they eventually break up. Can you make up a few song titles about the breakup the breakup that Taylor would write?
That was popular today too. I saw some funny ones.
So torn touchdowns, end of the line, fading red and gold, unraveled strings, fourth and heartbreak, which is easily my favorite.
That's good.
Gone in the fourth quarter, broken huddle, crimson and heartache, wide open wounds, chasing a different playbook.
That is deep. I saw one that said like the only one he couldn't catch or something like that. I saw that today. People are nuts, man. People are insane. I'm telling you, LG, we're never going to hear the end of this. And when they do break up, we're also never going to hear the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know who's happy, right? You know who's happy? Before you keep going, you know who's happy right now? Who's super happy? Patrick Mahomes. Because his brother and his wife are now like an afterthought. At every single home game, they will never be shown ever again on the camera.
Leave him alone. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not done. I thought that Fourth and Heartbreak was such a great title that I asked ChatGPT to give us the lyrics to Fourth and Heartbreak.
Please tell me you have like Drake singing this.
I tried to find the AI. I tried to find an AI that could actually just sing this as Taylor Swift, but I couldn't find it. So in the stadium lights, we took the field, a love so strong we thought it was real. But like a game clock running down to zero, our love faded fast like a quarterback's throw. Fourth and Heartbreak, we're on the line, trying to make it work, but running out of time. We used to be a team, now we're just apart. I guess we couldn't make it through the fourth and heartbreak. Oh, the cheers turned to tears and the touchdowns to mistakes. We thought we were winning, but it was all at stake. Now it's no way to save the game. We had it all, but it'll never be the same.
Ooh, this is good.
I see you in the end zone. I see you in the crowd, but the distance between us feels so profound. We tried to fight through all the obstacles in our way, but like a fumble in the rain, it all slipped away. This
is pretty good, man.
The chorus goes a few more times. The actual chorus is, oh, the cheers turn to tears and the touchdowns to mistakes. Oh, that's the mistake one. And then there's a bridge that goes,
read the bridge.
Sideline, watching you go. The pain in my heart, it continues to grow. We had our moments, but now they're in the past. A love that couldn't last.
We need to do a contest. We need to do a contest of some kind where someone puts together that song with those lyrics and puts a beat to it and comes up with the best.
Los, get over here.
No, Los doesn't count. Los is a pro, man. He'll kill that.
Yeah.
But that would be amazing to do a contest where people just come up with their own beat and sing that song. Man, I'd love that. This is, I don't know. I don't know if I'm excited or not. I do love storylines. I love drama. And I think she's perfect for all of this just because, like, do you see the way she was celebrating and stuff? It's as if they've like been together forever. She's super into it. While Mama Kelce's standing there like, all right, I've seen this like 500 fucking times. She's like, You see Mama Kelce's just like, yeah, great, wonderful,
Yeah.
Travis.
Another
Awesome. Taylor Swift's like,
yeah.
yeah. She's like hugging everyone in sight, high-fiving everybody. Mama
She doesn't have time to
like,
go to football games, Phil, man. She's on the road.
She's never at football games. She doesn't have time for any of that. It is shocking that she made time to be there. But although when you have a private jet, you can just go wherever the hell you want, whenever you want. I don't doubt that a couple hours of her day wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, I think we're going to see this every week. I'm not going to lie. I think this is becoming.
It'll be Taylor watch for sure. They'll be all over it.
Big time. I wonder if she watches like that dating show he was on. Like, how much does she know about show? Oh, he had his own like he had his own The Bachelor show trying to meet women. He's a huge woman guy. This guy, like he's really into the dating scene. So I wonder if she, before she even gets into anything,
how do you think that they meet? How do two people like that meet? Because
he made comments. He makes comments all the time. Like he's
Instagram?
No, not even Instagram. He'll just say like in an interview that he would love, like they'll ask him like who he'd love to go on a date with, just because he's had the dating shows. And he'll say Taylor Swift. So someone will tell her, hey, you see this guy? He's pretty cute. Look at him, right? She'll be like, oh, really? Okay, is he a good player? Yeah. All right, then maybe I'll meet him. And then they meet, and then I think the rest is history. It's not hard to communicate when you're a celebrity, because all you do is put out a piece of bait out there and somebody will take it, right? So I think he went to see one of her concerts in Kansas City, something like that. Like he was like, I'm not missing Taylor Swift's concert tonight, So she obviously got a hold of that, and the rest is history. So
it's funny. I find concerts are like the new place to be seen for celebrities. Like you see all these clips online of like whatever.
Drake, man, he's the guy's bringing out the whole world at every single concert. Guy he's doing like every concert he goes to, he brings out like the local celebrity of that city, and everyone loses their shit. So
Phil, speaking of Drake, do you think that he has a hotline, or they have a hotline direct to him from Raptors HQ to try and convince him to sway Damian Lillard to accept playing for the Raptors if they make that trade? Because Lillard also has a rapping career, and what could help that take off is a duo with Drake, which they could use to sweeten the pot.
That was actually offered to Kawhi as part of his deal to stay, is that he would get a song with Drake. I'm not even joking. That was actually offered to him. He would have like verses on a song and everything. Kawhi's like, dude, I don't even talk.
Kawhi, hold on. Kawhi was already in a music video with Drake anyways.
Right. And Kawhi,
let's pull it up.
The only time we've ever heard Kawhi talk is when he does that weird laugh.
Here it is.
There it is. Oh, that's right.
There he is in the background on the white sand.
Yeah. See what I'm saying though? That's what he does.
Why did they put? I don't understand why Kawhi's in this music video.
It was part of the deal to come to Toronto. Believe me. That's 100%. So
what is that part? Why is he confused?
Well, he doesn't talk.
I don't understand what the part is. Why is he confused at this
He's
part?
not a music video guy. Look at him. He has no idea what to do, man. Good Lord.
It's like they didn't tell him what he was there for.
No, they just said, dude, you just got to like dance a little bit and hang out in the background, and that's it, man. You're done. You got a feature on Drake's video. But Dame Lillard, here's the thing with the Raptors. I know a lot of sources are confirming that this is actually true. The Raptors are the front runners for Dame Lillard. But I will say something. Never in the history of the Toronto Raptors have you heard of something that might happen, and it's happened. Because they keep such a tight ship on their business that things come out of the blue. Things that happen with the Raptors come out when no one's ever heard of them. If you've heard of something, it is not happening with the Raptors. I know a lot of credible NBA sources confirm that was the case, which leads me to believe they are negotiating and trying to make it happen. But I'll tell you, LG, Dame Lillard, couple things. He's a sellout, first of all. Okay, just wants to go play for good teams. I love Dame Lillard, but I don't love that part of him. So I'm not really interested in a guy coming here. We don't have a great season, and he wants out by next year after we've sold the farm. And second of all, with Dame Lillard, if the Raptors don't trade a single piece, which they would have to either way, if they don't trade a single piece, they are still not an NBA championship contender with Dame Lillard. With all the guys they have now. And you have to assume they'd have to give up two of those guys, right? Somebody has to go. But assuming they don't, with Dame Lillard, I do not believe they're an NBA contender. I just don't. So for me, it's pointless. And he's getting old, man. Guy's like 33 or 34. I think he's got 3 years left on that deal.
What injury risk? It's significantly different than the Kawhi situation, even though for the Raptors on the outside, like the actual structure of it is similar. Right. Like star that he doesn't really want to be on that team anymore, has a lot to give, is a top 10 player. You know what I mean? It's like yes, but at the same time, a questionably top 10 player maybe at this point for Lillard, but has that capacity. But
you had a championship contender with Kawhi and the group surrounding him. They weren't superstars, but
when they got Kawhi is that they were already a perennial like playoff.
Yeah, they just couldn't get over the hump.
Every year there was no doubt the Raptors would be in the playoffs and maybe win the division. Like there was never like that. They were almost there, but they just needed that extra push that their current guys couldn't give them. And that was also a really simple trade to make. That was like, well, who's our main scorer? Let's just trade him. You know what I mean? And he was already DeRozan was already an all-star at that point. So it was really simple to trade him away almost like 1-for-1 and get him out of there for Kawhi. And, it was a fair trade for everybody because you didn't know if Kawhi was going to resign, which he did not. Right. And DeRozan put in some good years at San Antonio. They didn't do anything, but still, that was still a decent trade. He was still happy to play there. Whereas like for Lillard, it's like, and Kawhi had already won. Kawhi already had a championship.
He was a proven winner. Dame is not.
Proven
He's
MVP.
Just not.
He was a proven finals MVP where he'd beat LeBron in his prime. And granted, he did that with a team that was already a perennial contender of the end of the Tim Duncan era. But still, it was like that was Kawhi had been there, right? Whereas Lillard, it's like, well, sure, he's been in the conference finals and lost, but he's 6-7 years older. Some injuries the last couple of years. Hasn't broken through and has already verbally expressed that he doesn't want to be there. What I will say is that the Kawhi thing, when it happened 5 years ago, didn't come totally out of nowhere. The Raptors, like there was rumblings of it for like a week before it happened, but nowhere for the months leading up to that when they were talking about like what's going to happen to Kawhi. Is he unhappy in San Antonio? He's got his own doctors. What's up? Nowhere were the Raptors ever mentioned. It was like maybe Lakers or something.
They don't leak info. They just don't. That's how they.
And then out of nowhere, it was like suddenly the Raptors are at the top of the Vegas odds, along with the Lakers, whoever to land Kawhi, and then boom, a couple days later it was done. And it was surreal, honestly, for us. I thought that was shocking that we were getting it.
That's right. But I feel we had the pieces back then to go on a 5-year potential title run type window with Kawhi if he re-signed for 5 years or even one, right? You had pieces back then. Fred VanVleet was an emerging point
to the team.
Right?
He was literally we just swapped him for where he had. You didn't need to change the team that much more.
You had your franchise player in Kyle Lowry. DeMar DeRozan was a proven non-winner in the playoffs, so that wasn't a big loss. You kept the right one out of him and Lowry for sure, and it was a pure business move, but it was a great one. And I feel if he comes back, you still have that core of players. You have a shot every year. Despite the Raptors getting really lucky getting to the finals, they had a good group of guys. This group of guys right now, I don't care if you add Dame. First of all, Dame hasn't done shit to put himself on superstar level in the playoffs. He's been great in the playoffs, but he hasn't made his team better, right?
He's had some good moments.
Great moments.
Raptors won.
Yes.
It was the year the Blazers went to their conference finals and got swept by the Warriors. But
that shot against OKC too there.
That was the same year. Yeah.
3-pointer. But again, we're at the stage now in the NBA where teams are so stacked with superstars that the only way to win a championship right now, you need 2 superstars, not one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Look at last year. No matter what you say, Jokic and Jamal Murray are superstars now in the NBA. That's 2 with side players. The Raptors with their current roster don't even have one superstar. Pascal is not a superstar. I don't care what anybody says. Mm-hmm. So you add Dame Lillard, who is a superstar sort of, just not in the playoffs yet in terms of accomplishments. Mm-hmm. But you need somebody else. Like if Kawhi was still here and now you're telling me we might get Dame Lillard, I'm losing my mind, right? Like now I'm like, holy shit, right? Like now we're talking. You want to bring Dame here and Kawhi still here and you got other pieces. Now we're talking championships. But I don't know. The Toronto media is losing their shit. The Toronto fans are losing their shit. I say no chance it happens. Why all of a sudden would he be like, yeah, sure, trade me to the Raptors? Why the hell would he agree to that?
With a new coach and their franchise point guard gone in VanVleet.
Dude, why would you want to come here?
And then to just come and play with Siakam, who's kind of a scoring machine, but doesn't really have much, is a number 2. Siakam can't be the number 1. He's a number 2. And then, who's the ball handler behind Lillard, right?
Oh, but you got Scotty, right? But there's no way in that trade you're keeping both Scotty and.
But that's such a mess waiting to happen with a new coach. Last year, there's already what's the main thing that people think about Scotty from last year? That he's not taking it seriously. He's not putting in the work, fooling around.
Which he has in the offseason.
And VanVleet Van Vliet and who's the other veteran we had?
OG.
No. The old guy who's like he's not even on the team. He's only on the team last year briefly.
I don't remember.
Anyways, that there's those like veterans versus young guys whole thing. Scotty.
Oh, yeah.
Scott.
Right.
Anyways.
So I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen. I like Dame Lillard a lot, but dude, it's too late. Like, it's not time for Dame Lillard right now, and he's not Kawhi. He's just not Kawhi. He's not that guy in Kawhi. He's not that guy at both ends of the court.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was skeptical about Kawhi when we got him. Like, holy shit, great player. I don't know that much about him. I know he's great. But when he came here, you saw right away how he can win you games. He will win you games and win you games in a crazy way with these efforts out of nowhere. Right?
Muscles. He could just muscles to the basket.
Again, for me, I don't even know why we spent so much time on this. Because I guess it's been a topic for a long time. And all of a sudden, Toronto are the leading team at the top. So 2 or 3 times, Dame Lillard said, I will go to the Miami Heat only. If not, I'm not being traded. And now you're telling me that Toronto, the place where nobody wants to come play, is at the top of the list of negotiations. Something's off there. I think there's a bit too much.
Well, you know what I will say, and there's a lot of thoughts there, so we could talk about it for a long time. What I will say is that we all know this. We talk about this often on the show. Toronto is not a free agent destination. So, as somebody who's a GM, you have to do things to keep Toronto relevant, especially now that we're going through a rocky patch that we haven't gone through in a long time. That's like uncertain future, not really sure what's going on. Most exciting part of the offseason is that our top draft pick's name is Grady Dick. Like that's like that you're at that point.
It's another gimmick. Yeah.
What Ujiri does really well is whenever there are disgruntled superstars who want to move, even if he's not that serious about pulling off a trade, he still gets involved. And in that way, he's kind of elevating Toronto to be one of the teams that's in the conversation no matter what, making them a more like not important, but a more like a serious team, let's say, that he's like, well, he's always hovering. And because 5 years ago, he pulled off the Kawhi trade and it worked. People think about that whenever there's a star that's upset in the NBA, and then he goes and puts himself in the conversation in Toronto, and everyone's like, well, you remember what happened last time? So it does make it more like feasible that it could happen, even if he's not even that serious about it. Right. So I think that's at least good. Whereas before, Phil, honestly, before Ujiri came to town, the Raptors were completely irrelevant. Right. Sorry. Just like Vince left and we entered like a 12-year stretch of like literally the team doesn't fucking matter at all. Chris Bosh couldn't wait to leave. Couldn't freaking wait to leave Toronto. You know what I mean? Then name me any other player besides DeRozan that was significant during that 10-year stretch between Vince and DeRozan, basically.
The thing is you're nobody in the NBA.
Andrea Bargnani.
It's a history of that type of player, right? Yeah. But you're nobody in the NBA unless you're competing for championships. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? Like, it's the same teams over and over that make the first round. They bow out in the first round. The NBA is all about the championships, just like every other league, but more so I feel in the NBA. If you can't put together a roster of superstars, you're not competing. And it's weird because it's like a team like, say, okay, let me see what best example I can find without totally, like, who would be one of the worst teams next year? Not Detroit. I feel Detroit will probably be a bit better. What's a good example of a bullshit team? Not the Wolves. They still have a couple of players.
Magic.
Well, Magic have all those young guys. You never know with those guys, right? Like, I mean, when you pick first or second or third. Wizards. Okay, Wizards. So a team like the Wizards.
Yeah.
Imagine being that fan base, and from the very first game of that season, you have zero shot of winning a championship.
Zero chance.
We also know this with the Raptors. We have zero chance. Yeah. We're talking 85% of the league knows they have zero chance. Like, it's kind of messed up, but that's the NBA. And I'm telling you, Dame lands in Toronto tonight. I cannot sit here and say, oh my God, I got to get tickets now to go see a game. I'll still go. But I also can't tell you, like, holy shit, now we're talking. Now we can beat the Bucks. Now we can beat no, they're not beating those teams, right? Although the Bucks, I have questions with the Bucks. I feel like shit is brewing with the Bucks. I feel like Giannis is gone from there soon. But you're not competing with the Celtics or anybody like that just because Dame's here. Portland didn't compete with anybody significant, and Dame was there, and he had decent pieces around him, So he had CJ McCollum around him for a couple of years, for years actually, and that's still.
And his first couple of years was LaMarcus Aldridge was there too.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, right? So it's just the type of player. He's not, for me, a tier 1 superstar, despite being to be honest, he's probably a superstar in the league, but he's not a tier 1 superstar in the sense that his track record has no wins of any kind on it that matter. Right. But that's the NBA. Not too many guys play for teams that go to the finals. If you look at the last 10 years, right?
No, exactly.
Same damn teams.
But then you also have seasons like last year, which turns things upside down when the Heat would do what they do.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, ragtag team, Jimmy Butler, even though people kind of forget, again, I've said this so many times that they went to the conference finals many times in recent memory, you still have them turn things upside down when they just blast through. And again, Middleton was injured or just came back from injury, and so was Giannis during that round. But like the Bucks, the Sixers, all that kind of stuff, when they just through those teams, you kind of have that's where you throw some of those superstars into like the existential crisis, right? Of like the Giannis and the Embiids of being like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, is this going to work or not? Right? So I don't know. I don't really care. You know, the Raptors, like, I think at this point, if you're the Raptors, you don't really have a certain path that you're following. You're not like, okay, we're going to develop these young players and then we'll contend soon. Like, you don't really know. Like, Scottie's good, but you don't really know if he's the guy after last year is such a mixed bag. You lost your main point guard, your kind of franchise point guard. Very uncertain. You want to get some value from the Siakams and the Anunobis before they leave or whatever happens, or before they get old. So the options are to kind of sit around and wait, see if it works as is, wait for trades. Make a big move, and just, even if it flops, it's fine. At least you tried, even if you leverage a couple of years of the future, or tank.
Yeah, but the Raptors never do that. They never do that.
They don't do it, right?
They just compete to like the fringe of the playoffs and either make it or don't, and then go crashing out early. And it's just like, what's the point of that? You know, but that's the NBA though. You're stuck in that position for so many teams. Yeah. Because there's only so many superstars.
I think that's a bit of a danger too for trading for a player like that, is the point in time where we are, like a couple weeks before the season starts, right when camp is supposed to start. Yeah. I don't think that's a good time. When we traded for Kawhi, that was like midsummer. That was like July. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's months for it to kind of seep in, for Kawhi to come to Toronto and get familiar with the organization, for them to be like, listen, we're going to rest you this year. We're going to make sure you get like 30 games off so you can, rest your what was his problem again? Quad. His ACL, whatever Kawhi's problem was.
There was always something.
Yeah, but his problem from
his main issue. Yes,
that's
what it was. Yep.
Like, we're going to rest you. Here's our plan for you for load management. It's going to be good. Get him comfortable. Get him excited. You know what I mean? And then have a great year, which they did. Whereas like trading for Lillard now, it's like, all right, well, he's just going to hop on a flight tomorrow with his family and go down to Toronto or Miami. Like, that would suck. That would be really hard. So. But he shot himself in the foot. I think there's nobody else to blame for this stuff than Lillard for saying the stuff he did. He didn't need to say any of that stuff, and he's trying to force a trade, but not really looking at the reality that it's going to be really, really hard for them to trade him.
Did you see Jimmy Butler in Toronto? Did you see that?
What, at Drake Fest or whatever?
No. He was not at Drake Fest. He was here in Toronto at Drake's house while Drake was on tour, using Drake's house to play basketball. Nice. And he actually attended a ton of events while he was in the city. And he was actually training at the University of Toronto Varsity Stadium downtown. Cool. He spent like a good week here. And every time that happens with an NBA player like that, everyone starts going crazy. They're like, well, it's so beautiful at this time of the year in Toronto. How does this person not fall in love with the city and want to play here? And unfortunately, it just doesn't translate to that ever. Yeah. But if Dame's thing was to go down to Miami and play with Jimmy Butler, say, okay, because that's where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Masai Ujiri somehow putting something together out there that would acquire both Dame Lillard and Jimmy Butler on the Raptors? And that's why there's interest for Dame to come here. Because you have to think that it's not just going to Miami that interests Dame. He wants to play on a winner, and it's kind of like the Kawhi with Paul George effect, right? This is my theory, and it has zero legs. I'm just thinking, Jimmy Butler loves Toronto now, always has apparently, like everyone else says. Spends a week at Drake's house, chilling at Drake's, playing basketball, enjoying all the, whatever it's at Drake's house that you can do. Apparently there's a ton of shit in there. And now all of a sudden there's talk of Dame coming here. And because the Raptors don't ever reveal anything, I feel there's more to the story behind the Dame thing. Now, can you imagine again, Masai Ujiri is trying to pull off a massive somehow. I don't think we have the pieces to do it, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know how
2007 Celtics heist. basically.
Like how would you ever get those two guys? You know, like I don't. You'd have to give the whole team, but you just never know in the NBA, right? You never know. You never know what other pieces.
You got to swing. You got to throw away a lot of firsts. You know what I mean? You got to leverage that.
Scotty, all that stuff. Maybe a third team gets involved and guys end up all over the place. But I wouldn't put it past you, Masai Ujiri, who's been super quiet the last whatever years, which is unlike him. Like this guy swings for the fences, and you're telling me he's going to accept this garbage team we've been putting out there? Yeah, I mean, they make the playoffs, but they suck, man.
You could sign a bunch of those bum veterans that always sign with some team right as the season starts. Right. Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just
right.
The thing is that, sure, that would work. Ujiri would swing for that, but there's one person who would not allow that, and that's Pat Riley. There's zero chance. There's no way. He's got the best vibe in the league right now. Like, everybody wants to play for the Heat. Everybody wants to go down there and get a piece of that. You can't let Butler leave for that. You're trying to get Lillard, and even if you don't, you're happy with what you got. You know what I mean?
You just never know, though. You never know what's going on in the NBA. You never know, who's ready to kind of mail it in and start over. And let's be honest, the Heat were not even a championship contender until the playoffs hit. Right? Everyone's like, "What the hell? All these guys? Screw these guys. They're not making a run this year. They look like shit half the year." Right? So you don't know. Maybe they had planned to blow it all up before the season, and now that they didn't win, they said, "Well, let's not have another mediocre season. Let's cash in on what we can before it's too late." And you never know. I'm just thinking, wishful thinking. Then I would get excited. I'm not going to lie. You get Jimmy Butler and Dame Lillard in Toronto with a couple of guys that are here right now, and I get super excited. Which guys would still be here? Phil? There wouldn't be anybody left. Who would still be here? Chris Boucher? No, Malachi Flynn could be the no. Well, that new guy there from Kansas State, he's still here. I forgot his name. Koloko? No, not Koloko, man. But no, I mean, you'd have to obviously take a hit at other positions, but I think you'd still have some pieces. Grady Dick, come on, good old Grady Dick with Jimmy Butler. They'd trade him. You'd have to. Nah, man, nobody cares about it. He's like the 14th pick. Nobody cares about that. You'd trade him and his TikTok videos away. Just give your first rounders for the next 5 years. I'd do it. Who cares, man? You don't ever do anything in the NBA unless you swing for the fences. But hey, and don't forget, like you said, no free agents in Toronto. So the only way to ever acquire these types of players is via trade, right? So food for thought. Hopefully Jimmy had a great time here. Hopefully he called up Dame and said, "Hey, get on the phone with your Blazers guys," and because Jimmy just left Toronto. So hopefully that's what the series of events is, where Jimmy called Dame and said, "Hey, I know it's not working with you coming to Miami. So how about I find a way to Toronto? You find a way to Toronto." Would you want Jimmy and not Dame? No, same thing. Unless you had a plan to get Dame later somehow. But, I said maybe it's a 3-team trade where Lillard goes to Miami, Butler comes here, and I don't know where Anunoby goes. Anunoby and Siakam go somewhere else. I just wish that I also really, really wish the Raptors had made a bigger play for Dillon Brooks. I do, man. I wish that for me, that was like he showed the complementary player that he can be to a superstar like SGA at the Worlds. And, if you were planning a move like this of getting these superstar players, and that's a guy you could have had on the team at the same time, he's kind of part of your big three. Whether you want to call him a player that belongs in a big three or not, I think he could be. He's your Draymond, Not in Memphis, though. In Memphis was like a bunch of that's like what a disaster, that organization, man. They have no control over anything. Everyone's acting like a bunch of punks over there, right? I think that's a big part of why people hated Dillon Brooks, because it was like punk mentality over there. They let these young guys do whatever the hell they want. They let him do whatever he wanted. Yeah. And weird, and you can let a guy like that, do his thing, but you got to reel him in a little bit. You got to give him a bit of direction on some of those hijinks, Oh, 100%. So I don't know. I feel like we're in for exciting times here before the training camps start, because again, is the Raptors fan base, which is one of the greatest in the league, and they sell out almost every game. Are they really going to accept another one of these damn seasons where it's like, oh, let's hope we make the playoffs, and let's hope we lose in the first round. Let's hope we get smoked by Philly again, which will happen. No, there's no way, man. Something has to give. If Masai Ujiri didn't leave by now, he's got to be cooking something. That's my belief. The end of the season, it can't possibly end worse than last year. Do you remember the play game? DeRozan's daughter was distracting. That was so good, man. Free throws. God, that was so good. My God. Bozos missing free throws. Terrible. Because the girls screaming at them. That's terrible. Affecting NBA millionaires. Yeah. Joke, seriously, man. That was so bad. Hey, speaking of Kawhi, I just want to flip over to NFTs real quick before we wrap out. The Kawhi Raptors shot is coming to Top Shot. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, that was my reaction. Okay. And what leaderboard do I need to be on to get it?
I don't know. I saw a photo of like 80 different leaderboards that you can try and be on with some of these players and shit, and then I just closed the window.
I can't with
like
the leaderboards anymore. It's got to be something else. We got to move on to something else.
Listen, the goalposts continue to change. We've been over this about a trillion times, so it's exhausting to even just think about bringing it up. But it's like, last year when they did run it back, which nobody really wanted because it was like, please stop dumping supply. And they did, I don't remember what year they did. It was in 80s. Was it 80s or something like that, right? And then they said, like, every year we'll do a new year of run it back. And then suddenly now they're like, well, here's 5 years of run it back.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing is basically releasing the most marquee moments from 2014 to 2019 in the NBA, diluting this. A lot of all those players are still playing now. I think except for maybe Isaiah Thomas is in there, not old Isaiah Thomas, new Isaiah Thomas. And he's in there, but otherwise it's all moments of players that already have an abundance of moments in Top Shot. And what I think is even worse is they're adding rookie year moments for guys like Luka and Giannis. So basically like taking away from the Top Shot debut moments and being like, well, now we're going to make a new super rookie moment of those same players. And then
it's exhausting.
And again, one of the things I've always said was a good thing that Top Shot has in its pocket is you have this, 40, 50 years, maybe not that much, of NBA amazing shots and moments that you can slowly roll out one at a time. And that's what a couple of years ago, it's like Vince Carter dunk. Okay, one at a time. And now it's like, here's every marquee moment kind of the last decade all in one drop, which dilutes them all. Like Kawhi, of course we wanted that on the platform, but now it's going to be on there. It's a legendary, there's all this leaderboard stuff, and it's coming out with all these other big moments, even the Dame shot, all that stuff just makes it way less special.
I agree, man. I agree.
That's also saying that
some people love it though.
I don't really know what I want. I don't really know what we want them to do at this point. You know what I mean? I don't really know what we're complaining, but I don't really know what the alternate is. Maybe just to not drop them after 7 weeks of anthology drops. But it is what it is. Top Shot's going to Top Shot, and some people will lap up, I guess.
Some people love it. They still love it. LG, did you see obviously not. You were in the bush and your swamps and stuff like that.
I was. Yeah,
I have to mention it just because I'm a huge Ohio State Buckeyes fan. But did you see the Ohio State Buckeyes pull off that incredible win over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
No, tell me more about it.
So even though they were favored on the betting lines, Ohio State went to Notre Dame. That's where College Game Day was set up for the week. So obviously the biggest game on the slate. I believe, forgot where they had Notre Dame ranked before that game. But anyways, top 10 matchup of teams. And basically the loser is pretty much eliminated from national title contention. Now, college football is moving to a playoff format next year. That's more than 4 teams, which is great. That's a long time coming. People want to see NFL-style playoffs in college football. Nobody wants to just see, hey, you're the best 4. You two got screwed. You could have probably won this thing too. People want to see it. So anyways, Ohio State goes to Notre Dame. Half the stadium is packed with Buckeye fans, of course, because they're like that.
Yeah.
And before the game, despite the Buckeyes being favored on the betting line, the entire world is saying Notre Dame is going to win this game, no matter what. Which is fine, because from my 10 plus years now following the Buckeyes, because I lived in Columbus, Ohio, I went to a lot of their games of all sports, became a huge fan of the Buckeyes culture, even though I'm not from Columbus. I know that when you doubt the Buckeyes, the Buckeyes probably play their best football. Now, one thing I'll never understand, and this goes for every sport, is why people feel the need to talk before games. Right? Legendary Notre Dame coach and college football coach Lou Holtz comes out before the game against the Buckeyes and says that Ryan Day, which is the coach of the Ohio State, says that Ryan Day teams are soft and pathetic. Okay. He calls them soft. He says all his teams, since he's been the head coach here, are soft, as opposed to previous coaches with the Buckeyes who had tough teams and all that. They're just soft and they don't win the big game. Why? Why in the world would you, listen, if you're a regular fan and you want to go on a stupid talk show and say things like that, go crazy. The Buckeyes won't even hear
Or
it. And
you're a commentator, you're a radio person, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Radio person, there's no way that the Buckeyes are talking about this in their locker room. But you being the figure that you are within that storied program that everyone knows because of the movie Rudy, if you don't watch college football, comes out and gives the Buckeyes maybe the biggest bulletin board material you could ever give a team. Now, the Buckeyes were down and out at the end of that game. They lost the game. It was over. And they ended up taking the final drive of the game right down to the goal line and basically scoring with 0 seconds left on the clock on a walk-off to win the game and stun absolutely everybody. And it turns out that Notre Dame only had 10 players on the field for the last 2 plays of the game.
I just didn't really understand.
Man.
I did see that, yeah.
But it came down to the final play, final chance, everything, and Buckeyes ended up winning the game. But I said it before the game starts. When you talk like that about the Buckeyes and when everyone says they're going to lose, they always turn up and play their best football. And they had a quarterback who had never been on a stage like this one. And he came up big when they had to. So it was an incredible game. Did you see the clip of the Ohio State coach Ryan Day after the game? He went all WWE style. College coaches do not ever do this. He grabbed the microphone like she asked him the question, and he went nuts on Lou Holtz. He's like, "Where are you at, Lou Holtz?" Like as if he's like going to find him backstage and shit. I loved it. And then he had to he's like, "Okay, hold on. Let me compose myself." He's like, "Okay, I'm calm. Ask me questions now." He's like, "Sorry, I had to get that out of me." He went pure WWE styles. And then when he got back to the locker room, this is what I love about college coaches. He did the break dancing and all the chaos, and the players love that shit. But yeah, huge win, man. And I told some of my Buckeyes buddies I would bring it up on the pod today because they do listen and they wanted to hear about it. So massive win. And again, I will never understand why anyone talks shit ahead of big games like that. Someone in public figures, just because you motivate a team, man. Why are you doing that? Canada's coach at the Soccer World Cup. What did he say? Fuck Croatia or something like that? Why? The whole country wanted to murder you, dude. Why?
Yeah.
Stupid. Just stupid. What about Coach Prime? Is that done with? Are we?
I don't know. I missed all this stuff. So they got blown away, right?
They got destroyed. It was never close. But Coach Prime came out after and he said, "Listen, all right, we got our asses handed to it. We sucked. What can you do? The Vegas line on the Colorado Buffaloes this season was 3.5 wins. Okay, they already have 3 wins after 4 games. So I think going from a 1-11 program, hopefully we can get back to a bit of normalcy in college football now. I do love the whole Prime thing. I just think it got out of hand where did you see what happened with the Ducks mascot at that game, by the way?
No, I don't know any of the stuff.
Last thing you need to pull up.
I haven't had time to watch the center or anything.
Look up the Ducks mascot, please, right now on Twitter, who came out dressed as Coach Prime. And then something hilarious happened to him as he was smashing a Coach Prime cube on the field. You're going to die when you see this, man. It's absolutely outrageous. This guy wins Bozo of the Year. It's fantastic.
Does he come out of a box? Is that what happened?
No, he doesn't come out of a box. He comes out of the tunnel, dressed as Coach Prime with the cowboy hat, the glasses.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Okay. Play that for the audience, please. Whoever didn't see
and
that.
He smashes the clock. Is that
yeah, but don't roll any further. You got to let it.
Hold on. Okay. I gotta find the right clip. I don't even know what I'm looking for. Is it the motorcycle thing? Is that what we're talking about?
No. He comes out with an axe, and he axes a big box that says Prime on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe he came out on a motorcycle.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up.
Bozo.
Worst nightmare as a mascot, easily.
The worst, and the way he reacts is even better. The way he reacts to it's the best.
All right, bro.
I love it.
There we go. He's destroying a clock. And then his hat falls off. His helmet falls off, and he runs away.
Oh, that's not the best angle. It's a really good angle. Look at him, man. He's losing it. Look at him.
This one.
And he runs for his life. That's the way. Instead of putting the helmet back on, he runs for his life, like nothing ever. There you go. Look at him. Look at this guy, man. The guy runs after him. So that was a fitting end to Coach Prime's run. They play USC next with the Heisman Trophy favorite, Caleb Williams. I don't think it's going to end too well for them again, especially if they're missing Travis Hunter, their superstar player. He's out, right, from that cheap hit in the game before.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I did like what Coach Prime did. Like that guy was getting death threats, man.
Why
Did you see that?
Why did they lose so badly?
Just weren't ready for the moment, and talent-wise, they weren't. They don't have the talent to compete with a program like Oregon, who recruits top 5 every year or top 10. You know what I mean? We're going to see more of it now. Like the teams they beat, Nebraska, Colorado State, and whoever the hell the other team was.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not teams that recruit even in the top 30 or 40 or 50. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking the top of the top now, where it was noticeable the level of competition was completely out of their league, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not to say now that they can't take this game and they're going to get smoked the next one too, probably against USC, or maybe not. We don't know. Maybe one game of this was enough for this coaching staff to kind of see what the issue is.
It feels like that Cinderella part is over, though. That's the problem.
It does, and they may play a bit better knowing that that's the case, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there'll still be just as much attention on it as there was for this until it keeps happening over and over again. Then people are just going to be like, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But Travis Hunter being out the guy's a megastar at both ends of the field. Huge deal that he was out. You have to change your whole game plan. And it was a problem. Right. So, but listen, the movie's still going to be made. The documentary on Netflix or Amazon or whatever the hell it is still coming out. And Prime is still, believe it or not, on the news every day still, ever since the loss. Any quote he says is like leads the news stories. So, we're not done with this just yet.
Yeah, of course. It was the biggest story for a while there. They're not just going to let it go like that.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's still on. So,
yeah, exactly. Right on. Well, thanks for the college football update. I didn't know any of that because I was, as you guys got the update. Phil, is there anything else you want to chat about? Because I think we could wrap out.
I think that's it, man. There's 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. I hate the fact that they put 2 Monday Night Football games at the same time.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Don't understand it. Like Monday nights are made just so you can focus on that one game, whether it's the worst game on the slate or not. That's it. Now, why do we have to? Why are they at the same time? Why are they not like at 7:15 my time and 10:15
earlier? Yeah. Anything.
What is this? Yeah. What is this crap? Now, why 1 hour apart where we can't watch both? I hate it. And then now we start the London series now, or the European series starts Saturday, where for you the games will be on at like 6 a.m., which is crazy.
I will say, AJ Brown already has 2 receptions on 2 targets. So 44 yards. That's
that game's a bit of a lull so far from what I see. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything very exciting has happened, but I'll take it. That's a good start.
Yeah,
it's a good start. I just need a few more of those, and then like 2 touchdowns, and we're good. We'll be on track. My first round pick to do something, anything, please.
Pretty excited. We'll have to give it
total points so far in the season is 20, so he needs a little bit more than that.
Exciting. I think that's it, man. I think that's it. I think it was a good conversation. We love hearing your stories. I wouldn't survive in the woods the way you do. Let's just put it that way. Oh,
you'd be fine.
I'd be fine. Listen, I would survive, but I don't mean physically. I mean more like mentally. I'd just be like,
that's what I mean too, though.
The Bills winning? I need to know right now if the Bills are winning. Like, no, I can't.
We can bring you a satellite phone. We can bring you a satellite phone, and then we'll give you like 10 minutes on it every day, and then you can pick that up. No. We'll just make sure you're out before. Well, actually, we go between football games. We leave on like Tuesday morning and come back Thursday night.
Okay, sounds good. One more small update.
Never gonna happen.
Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. My company is playing in our second ever soccer automotive league championship game.
Ooh.
Second ever.
Yeah. It's the championship game?
It's a championship game.
Wow.
And the only problem I foresee, because we had this problem 5 days ago in the semifinals, is that by the time the second half starts, it looks exactly the way it does in my background right now. Okay. We tried to get the game moved up. The other team's like, no, we come from too far. We can't be there until 6. I'm like, well, we started at 6:15 last week, and by the second half, it was pitch black. That's not even counting extra time or shootout. Like, what do we do if that happens, right? So we've agreed to play 40-minute halves. We've agreed to go straight to shootout if it's tied. My company has never won the championship, and this is by far our best team ever. Ooh. And we are the heavy favorites to defeat the defending champions who we're playing against. And our record on the year is 9-2, our best record ever for the regular season. Our only 2 losses
are to this team.
Were to this team.
Oh, but man.
The stage is set. But here's the kicker. For both those losses, we were missing all our top players. I'm just going to say,
Oh,
that.
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
going to leave
Of
that
course,
up.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we barely lost. It was like at the death. The
Mhm.
captain of the other team used to work at our company.
Oh,
I know. So HR today sends out a gigantic email
Mhm.
saying, hey, this is happening tomorrow. It's 5 minutes from the office. It's at 6 p.m. How about everybody comes out and goes crazy and comes wearing, the colors of the company and cheers the team on. Now, I guarantee you like 5 people show up. That's just how it is. People just want to go home, man. Nobody gives a shit, right?
Yeah, it's September, man. Kids are back to school, but
It's tough.
very exciting for you guys.
It is super exciting. So we'll see what happens. I'm healthy enough to play. The last time we were in the championship game, we had 3 German interns that were there, and all of them had played like semi-pro in Germany. So that's the reason we made it. This year, it's a whole different story. We have a different type of players. In the semifinals last time, I had a concussion and had to miss the championship game. And I truly believe that played a big part in us losing in the championship, although we deserved to win that game regardless. So in the semifinals a couple of nights ago, I headed a corner kick out of play, and I was woozy after, and I was like, hell no, like, don't tell me, like, please no, right? But I recovered fast. I'm okay. I will be playing. I probably won't be heading too many balls tomorrow. But hey, I'm the captain. I lead the ship. I've got my speech all planned to motivate these 25 players.
What's your
on our
captain
team.
name? What's your captain nickname?
I don't have one, but we do have our center back in the back is a crazy guy who lives 3 hours away from the office and drives into work every day. He is nicknamed Captain Canada. He wears a crazy bandana with a huge maple leaf on the front. And he's actually a hockey player, and he plays soccer the way that he plays hockey. So when a guy's coming in on him, he looks him in the chest and just runs him over instead of looking at the ball. That's hockey stuff. He gets called every time, but nobody gets by him. So I love it. So big day tomorrow. We have trivia for those who are probably waiting for an update on the season 1 media pass. We have trivia night coming up this Wednesday, and I will be able to give an update on that soccer game. So we will either open the show with me really pissed off, or I will be holding the trophy in my arms like a big baby, holding onto that thing for dear life. So we'll see what happens.
Beauty. Well, good luck tomorrow, Phil D. Wish you guys a happy championship. I'm sure you guys will pull it off. And we'll be thinking about you. And we'll wait for that update on Wednesday night.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Good luck.
Okay.